Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment, and this is one of my favorite spaces, as you guys know. I love welcoming our guests, but I want to honor them for coming with a few things I deem very expensive. That is their time. And Dr. Wong has come and he has offered us some of that precious commodity, which is time. And as I said to you, those who have learned to respect and honor time, your life, the quality of your life will be much better. But those who have dishonored her, because I was one of those, we can seem to have wasted. Because again, it is a precious commodity. The other is the journey that we encounter in our life. It created us. It has power. It has deposited a couple of things into Dr. Wong that I want to extract for our benefit so that we can grow as individuals while we're here on this planet. Those things that are housed within him are wisdom, knowledge, understanding, insights, all of these beautiful ingredients. We have access because of his commitment to us for this specific time. And so we want to honor him and say to Dr. Wong, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on your podcast.
It's an honor having you as well, sir. One of the questions that we ask every one that presents is, how do you serve mankind? And I ask that, Dr. Wong, because I want people to understand that the journey is not just about themselves. It's also about others, helping others to achieve enlightenment, people call it, but I call it growth, development, insight as to who they are. How do you serve mankind?
That's a great question. Actually, Ken, I tell you what, I wrote to you and asked to join your podcast. It is because of questions like this, actually. So it's very good of you to ask me that question. I serve the mankind in a number of different ways, actually. The first, if you like, the first way is the personal touch. If anybody get in touch with me, and it doesn't have to be my friend or relative, or it can be somebody I don't know. And if they need help, and if I can help them, then I will help them. And that is a very personal way. I see that as a very good way of serving humanity. And then there is my main work. Previously I was working as a university professor in engineering. So I made contributions to engineering. And I also see that as a contribution to humanity. And currently I do more work on life philosophy. And I'm writing books on them. And I also give talks on them. And all this work, I see that is I'm serving humanity. I'm offering, I would say, quite a new life philosophy. And if people like to listen and practice them, I think it will help them. And then there's a third way. Actually, I also see that as serving humanity, actually. And that is, if there's any issues in the society, then I will participate. I will actually join a protest, or I will write letters to the newspaper to raise the issue, or whatever way I can help the cause. Actually, mainly is if if there's a cause I believe is worth pursuing, then I will give my support. And then there's another one I'm particularly keen on is the independent press. I will support them financially and otherwise. I see that is a great way of serving humanity.
Well, for all the listeners here that have joined us, welcome to the podcast, man. We have a servant that is before us. If you listen to what Dr. Wong had stated and expressed, that is the heart of a servant. And when one lives from that place of servitude or servanthood, life becomes a little more interesting, it becomes more palatable, it becomes a little more rich. And when someone affords themselves to others, I want to encourage those that are listening. Take advantage of his wisdom, take advantage of his knowledge. We're going to provide all of his information, his links, and all that stuff for you guys to have access to him, books, and all these things that he have written. And housed within those pages and those the corner of those are wisdom, guys, knowledge and insight that can change your life and move you through from your current state into that desired state that you have. And you have to understand, as you read those things, make yourself available to receive it, and you will. Doctor, I'm so excited. One of the customs that we have here in our podcast is to go back into the journey of ourselves, our life. When we first hit this planet, we were stored for a few years, if you will, in this household that is called a family. And we collect data from a couple of folks that are called our parents. We have mom and dad, and we have a society within the family, culture within the family, all of these things that are now going to begin to deposit information into us. What was your family unit like?
Oh, I was very blessed actually. If you hear a lot of the personal stories, they say they were like born very poor, and a lot of things were not available. I was completely the other side. I was born rich actually. I had a very rich father, and he was a very successful businessman. But he was born. His business started to pick up when I was born. So actually, I was considered as his lucky star. And after I was born, he made millions and millions. And actually, when I was young, I never have a lack of anything material, really. But I did not appreciate that. Actually, throughout my life, when I was a kid, and then when I was a teenager and adult, I never appreciated the amount of wealth my father had and how lucky I was. And he used to always said that to us, to the children. He said, you are lucky out of a million. And I never understood why he said that actually. And I was living in a luxury apartment, and actually, and then when I graduated from the university, gave me a car, and I just took it as though it's quite normal, for a graduate. Then I started working in life, and then to have a new car, brand new car. Now, but you know what happened? About 10 years ago, when I lost my job, then I realized how important money is and how difficult it is to make money. After I lost my job, I had a really hard time to make even $10. I always share this story to my friends. But my father, he made millions and millions. And actually, the way I got out of my jobless situation is because of his wealth. Of course, he passed away. He passed away decades ago, but he passed on the wealth to us, and I survived because of his wealth, because of his accumulated wealth. So I was very blessed actually, and I on the other side, I'm also blessed is that my father was so rich, but I was never tempted to buy expensive things. Actually, they never attracted
Yeah.
to me. There's this one side of me is that I was never attracted by money. I was never attracted by things you can buy with money. I was always attracted by things you can get on top of money. You have to do something else. An example is like a university degree. You have money, you cannot just buy it. You have to study, you have to pass the exams, and then they give you the degree, and then you have the degree. You when you go out to work, actually, so you go out to work, you doesn't mean you have money. Then people will give you money. You have to do the work. You have to earn the salary. And throughout my life, I have always more interested in things like that. You have to. Another example is I share with you is it's like a photograph. You have money, you can buy a camera, but you cannot say a photograph with your friend. If you don't have a friend, then
Yeah.
so at my age, actually, it's a treasure to me when I look back at the old photographs, and with my friends and my family, and those are money cannot buy actually. And
Yeah.
throughout my life, I have always focused on those. And I share with you one more example. Is currently is my books actually. So I'm rich. I suppose you can hire a ghostwriter to write a book, but then I don't. I write my own books. I spend time and effort, and then write my own books, and I treasure them. I really put in my effort, and then so these are the products I treasure. If you just give me something, the example I gave, if you just give me a new car, I say, well, your money, you can get a new car. What was so great about that? Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Dr. Wong. How old were you when that part of you that you just described, where um, you were always interested beyond the money, beyond the stuff that money can get you, but you're looking more so as to earn what you can earn from your ability and stuff like that? How old were you when you think you kind of start gravitating to that mindset?
All my life actually, from I don't recall.
Wow.
I don't recall a single day when I was interested in money actually. Just money itself.
That's
I don't
powerful,
have I
Dr.
don't, I
Wong.
don't
That's
have
a
proof,
powerful thing.
but I think if you believe in past life, I think a lot of my thinking philosophy comes from the past life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not
Because
the
that's
present life that
powerful.
it's not somebody who teach me, who tell me this and that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
That
would say
is,
it's
I
throughout
love
my
it.
life.
I love that because that is, I love your answer as well, because many of us don't talk about the past experiences and that we've had that accumulated in our current existence, if you will, in the current state that we're in. But when you read different books, even the Bible talks about reincarnation to a degree. Here you are, you're heading towards adulthood, if you will, not really adulthood. You're experiencing or spreading your wing. You're going to college. I know you became an engineer. Why did you pick that degree and that field of study versus any other one?
Oh, that's a good question. So maybe just a little bit of background. I was born in Hong Kong, and then at about 14, and then I went to England to study. So
Hmm.
that was at the secondary school, O levels. I was studying O levels, and then onto A levels, and then onto university. And you're right, actually. So when I pick a course in university, I picked civil engineering, and there is a solid reason why I did that. Because actually, even when I was in secondary school, for some reason, there was one time I wrote an essay, and in the middle of the essay, I wanted to make the world better. I want to create a better world. And it was not taught by somebody, it was not taught by a teacher or something. Somehow, somewhere in the middle of the sentence, then that was with me, and I've always wanted to create a better world. And so when I pick a course in the university, so that time I was not so you can call it not so spiritual. It was
Yeah.
very just looking at things on the physical level, and I thought a great way to help to create a better world is to have a building, have
Hmm.
a well-designed building, help people to construct a building, so people can, if you talk about housing, then people can live in it, and then if you talk office, then people can work in it. I thought that would be a great way to well, you like to serve the humanity, to also I pick engineering. I pick civil and in particular civil engineering, because I was more interested in buildings rather than mechanical or electrical. But as it turned out, so I studied engineering, but then subsequently I specialized. If you want to do building, then it belongs to like structural engineering. You can do a
Hmm.
design of a structure. But I subsequently I move on to water engineering actually, not structural engineering. So I never designed a building actually, but I
Yeah.
work on the water side. So it's to do with the water flow, you like reservoirs, and my main specialty is on flood alleviation actually. And actually I could see why I move in that direction actually also
Yeah.
is
I was going to ask you that.
right. Actually, that is also good because if you work in okay, structure is man-made. Is you can basically design to whatever you like. Actually, you can have how tall, how big, how wide, and then. But if you work in water engineering, it's a like it's a different game altogether. Like the flood, man cannot control the flood. If you like, it's a law of nature. So when the flood comes, the other thing is when the flood comes, they don't tell you beforehand. You don't. So that is a completely different challenge, and I love that work. I love engineering. It's not that like I have kind of left engineering, but it's not that I didn't like. I love engineering, and particularly the work I do, because for my work I'm dealing with nature. If you like, nature is like God.
Yeah.
So he decides when the wind, the what rain, everything will come and go, and then so how we as human is then as an engineer, how do we cope with this natural phenomenon? So that is fascinating. I mean, and then when we work in the field of like flood alleviation, we understand actually we cannot. First thing, we cannot control the flood, and then actually we cannot completely eliminate flood, because that is part of nature. And we what we learn is we live with it. We live with it. It's and then flood is not a we call it a flood is a disaster and all that. Actually, flood is just part of nature. It is what the
Yeah.
nature does. You know, is you a lot of the time we have problem as a human. Okay. I tell you, this is a bit like engineering. One of the problem we have as human with problem with flood is the reason is we build too much.
Rebuild. Yeah.
Yeah, we have too many buildings. We occupy all the space. We call it
Hmm.
cities, and then we are very proud of it. In fact, the main reason why we have problem with flood is because we occupy all the space, and there's no more space for the water. What do you expect the water to
Yeah.
do? So when it rains, the water will flood your buildings. So actually, you're like, whose fault is it? So humans have a lot of things to learn from nature. You cannot take up all the space where the water used to be. You have to give the space to them. You have to give space to water. You have to give space to animal. You have to give space. The planet is not. It's not our. Everything is to our human. So
Yeah.
so just doing that, I learned a lot about nature, and I would say we humans we should humble ourselves. We are not the king of the universe. We
Yeah.
were just
One of
actually
our.
we are just one of the species, and then we
Yeah.
should be live in harmony with nature and with other species, and that's all my belief.
Yeah. We are given to be stewards of it, and we are not doing a good job. We are trying to take over everything, as you said. Each entity, each life form, nature has its space. Animals have theirs. We're just part of, the system, the ecosystem.
Ecosystem.
It's interesting to see how we try to take over everything else, and then we wonder why we have the floods. Why is it coming this way and damaging our property that we just build here and all these different things? Didn't understand that we ought to be in a partnership with nature, and allow nature to have its space, the animals and all that stuff, and the place would be much more inhabitable if we would have that approach. As you know, I tell people we're a little crazy. Humans are a little are a little crazy sometimes, but what it is, it's just prideful, as you stated. We need to be humble and be respectful, and when one understands those type lessons, then you'll be able to make better judgments. So here you are, you got the chance, basically, Doc, to how nature responded and stuff like that when it expand based on all the different parts of things that happen in sequence. What did you learn as an individual when it comes, because nature is also trying to teach us some life lessons, if you will, that we can apply certain principles. What did you extract from your time as an engineer dealing with water and nature, that some of those life principles that you saw within that area of your engineering dealing with nature? What were some of those principles that you saw while you were there?
The one maybe okay. The one maybe I have said already is we cannot really control nature in the sense that nature is a bigger force than human. Human, we think we are very powerful, but actually in nature is far more powerful. And if I could extend that flood and the water phenomenon to human, is one part I find that what humans is I think not fully understand is this is to do with our life. Actually, now we come to our life.
Yeah.
Is that our life, our physical life, is natural that it will end. Our life the physical life do not last forever. Our body is not designed to last forever. So like I jump from water to the body to life like that, and I think it's a good way to live when we accept that actually we have a finite period of physical life, and we live on Earth at the moment. And so, like what your program is doing is, then the question is, what do we do when we are living on Earth? Are we just going to like enjoy ourselves, or we do something like really more meaningful, to serve humanity, to give some. Actually, one way I find is a good way to serve is to give the humans a better understanding of life.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I absolutely 100% agree with you on that. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Doc, as you mentioned that you had lost your job as far as engineer, bring us to that space right there, because when you're there and you a loss of your job, and as I'm growing, I see that that's a loss of your identity to a degree, because you are known, your identity that you've been living for a long time is that of an engineer. So you're an engineer, you're an author within that industry and all of those things, and teaching and so forth. And so you lost your position. When you lost that, how did you manage that transition where that part of you, quote unquote, has to die in a way, because that part of you no longer exists, because you were removed from it? How did you handle that time in your life? Because you said it was hard making $10 and so forth. How did you handle that time in your
Right.
life?
Okay, sure. That part I was very blessed. I mean, so blessed that you see me here today. Actually, I could have gone
Yeah,
already. Actually,
yeah.
okay. I give you a bit of background to a little bit of what happened. It was a very strange situation. I was a professor in a university.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether you are familiar with the university system. Normally, in university, when you work as a professor, we have a tenure, we call it.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that the university can give you a tenure. And once you get a tenure, that means you can work there for the rest of your life. So they cannot give you a. But in Singapore, the university, they have a slightly different system. They also have core tenure, but they call it a 10-year contract. So it is still a contract. It is not something you can work for the rest of your life. So when I was at the university, they gave me a 10-year contract, and that contract will go up to the age of 55. So there was no question asked. I could work until the age of 55. But at 55, then it's up to them. Whether they offer another contract or then they will let you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was like normal. That was in Singapore system that was happening. But at that time, the very peculiar thing happened was they wanted to extend the tenure age from 55 to 65. So that means if after that, after the like conversion, so anybody gets a 10-year contract in Singapore University, they can work to 65 now, not 55. But for me, the old staff, so we were on 55, then they have to reassess that whether you can continue to go on to 65. So this is the very amazing part. I tell people this is a once in a lifetime experience. I mean, it's a in a way I was so lucky to experience that. And then what they did was they review the performance of all the professors in the university. Can you imagine any university would do that? Review all the professors in the university and then decide whether to give them this new 10-year contract, which will go to 65. So I went through the exercise, and then they have like a first round and second round, and I was so lucky that they kicked me out in the first round. So in the first round, I knew that I didn't get it. That is also, I mean, to me it was quite a it was a shock actually. Because actually I was performing. I would say I was a good researcher. I mean, in university they look at the research. I actually won an international prize, and then actually I thought I was really safe. I just won the international prize before they started this exercise, and then I get this outcome, and then so I was shocked, and then I was totally unprepared because like I was in quite a safe position, and then I was I panicked actually. I panicked, and then I didn't know what to do. And then and then in a way, fortunately, then the university, they saying they were extending the contract from 55 to 65. But those who don't get to the new contract of 65, they can give you a 1-year contract, just to keep you, just to let you like have a bit of time to look for another job. So they gave me a 1-year contract and then another 1-year contract. So I have some time, but because of my specialty that I know that, and also the age, I was 55 and then 56. In Singapore, when you're 50s, you're considered old man already.
Old.
And because in Singapore, the last time the old retirement age was 55. That's why they set it at 55. At 55, you're meant to go for retirement. Yeah? So when you say if you want to get another job, and then you tell people you're 55, you say it's time for you to retire. Why are you still working? And yet I'm still working today. I'm in my 70s. I'm still working. So I don't see problem with working 55. And so I didn't get another job there. I actually after that I didn't. And this is where you asked me. This is where the spiritual part comes in. Actually, this is a very interesting, I think, spiritual part. And actually, I told you at 55, I knew I was on the way out. And that time, I was inspired to write books already, the spiritual books.
Okay.
So I was still working, but I knew, they gave me 1 year contract. So maybe 1 year later, I would leave. and then they gave me another year. And then actually I was hoping to get another year. So, but anyway, at 50, I left at 57. So by then, that 2 years, I wrote some books already. I wrote some books. And you asked me about the identity. The books saved me, actually, helped me a lot. Because at university, like you said, I can go around everywhere. I can tell people I'm a professor. People will look up to you. You are, and then so like you said, after you leave university, of course, you cannot say you're a professor anymore. But then, because I started writing books, I can tell people I'm an author. An author, I think an author, then there is some respect for authors. Because not at least not everybody can write books, you know. And then
That's true.
so people say, well, you have written books, and then so that helped me a lot. That helped me even today. So because I think if you do other jobs, you may not get such a respect. But an author, you somehow, I think people are more. I think people are more respectful for authors, and then they may ask you what you write and all that. And then so you ask me, so that pulled me through. And then also at that time, the other part that helped me was when I first started, my books could, and then by selling books, I was saying, how do you make $10? My way of making $10 is you sell a book, you sell one book, you make $10. So the book part is a major part of my life. It's saving my life, and that was all inspired by I consider the spirit. I think that the spirit, like I said, I think the spirit planned for this, planned for my move, and then so there is this transition, and then I can safely landed on the other side. So that was the
I think
transition part.
on the onset of our conversation, I'd mentioned to you that I was very interested in. I can see why you would be guided to come into the spiritual realm, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about that in a short while, because of your engineering background, the mind, the research, the type of commitment that it takes to be in that arena of engineering, especially the type that you are in, dealing much more so with nature and the unexpectation of how nature performs and all that stuff. You got to know your data, if you will. And to transition you from that mindset into the spiritual mindset, carrying that same discipline. Guys, I hope you're listening to this conversation. When you are making that type of transition, so you know that his work that he produces in the realm of spirituality, self help, and all those things, the research, the data, the type of investment that is done within those formats is good stuff. That means that whatever those pages within between those covers house tremendous amount of power. And so I want to encourage you guys. We're going to provide the links so that you can get to Doc's books, buy his books, follow him, get into his space, because an engineering individual is switching into self-help. He's going to bring data to show all you skeptical people out there that this thing is a reality, and that's what he does. And he mentioned that he was also one of those that didn't pay attention to the spiritual realm. And my question now, Doc, as you stated that you were moving within that first year, you started gravitating towards the spiritual realm. What was your first book, the subject of it? What were you learning within the spiritual realm that pulled you towards writing, beginning to put that data into a book format? And what was lesson, the insights that you were getting at that time that you felt it necessary to put it into a book form?
Okay, my first book is on you heard of this guru, Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba.
Yes.
Actually, so last time when I moved into spirituality. I attended many religious talks and I read the religious books. And then I also then Sai Baba was one guru I went to listen to, and I actually went to India to see him, and quite a number of times. So my first book was only mainly about my experience with him,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual and physical experience, and so I can see why I like the spirit inspired me. I mean, to me, there's no question. It was inspired writing, and it was by the Great Spirit, I call him. And because I have the content, because I went to see him at that time, every year I will go to see him once a year, and so I
Mm-hmm.
accumulate quite a number of experience, and then so I saw that I could write it into a book, and that's another part. Maybe it will be of interest to some of your listeners. Okay, so I went there year after year, and like really the interesting part is every year I get a different experience,
Mm-hmm.
and to me then I thought it was quite normal. I thought I just go there and then something happened, and then but then when I asked my like the fellow Sai devotee, I asked them, hey, every time you go, do you get different experience? Actually, many of them, they go for years. I mean, they go for a lot longer than I have. And they say, no, every year is the
Nope.
same. Actually, I said, hey, how come I get every? But then now, of course, after that, and I come back, then I understand why all this different experience. It's because they were preparing me to write a book on the. So I wrote the first book, and that was, like I said, it's all just the experience between myself and Sai Baba. But then I move on to the second book, which is a more general book. Actually, yeah. Usually people talk about spirituality and all that. Actually, to me, spirituality, to me, I define it is a much bigger. Even the things which are non-spiritual, I consider them as part of spirituality. Like one part I thought of will be like finance, like politics, like economics. Everything, I mean, to me, everything on earth is spiritual. So
I
in,
think
in the
so.
second in the second book, then it's called Wisdom on How to Live Life, and that was also based on my own experience and my own observation. And that started was because at that time I saw the world. I mean, actually, it is still today. And then there's so many problems in the world. So I was asking why is it there's so many problems in the world? And then we have so many spiritual guru have come and gone and give us so many good teaching. But why is it there's still so many problems in the world? So I was intrigued by this question myself. So I look at the issues in the world, and I look at based on my own experience. Then I wrote this book, and then it kind of it explains explains why there are so many problems in the world actually. And then I have a lot of, actually this is the main theme of this is my work actually. And then I offer solutions how we can like solve these problems in the world. How we like how we can bring peace to earth. To me, I mean that is a minimum actually. How come we live and then we like the recent news? How come we're still fighting each other and all that? I mean we are supposed to be all like very civilized and all that. So this is the work I do, and then so it's because they want to solve it physically. So so this kind of problems I don't think you can solve physically. We have to move on and then use some of the spiritual concepts. Then maybe we can solve it.
Yeah, I think we're trying to solve things with in the natural realm, as you're saying. But we're not. Jesus made a statement, Doc. He said, "You teachers, you spiritual teachers, are focusing on the wrong stuff. You're teaching people about just cultural stuff." But he said, "You're not dealing with the weightier things, the heavier things, the character stuff, the stuff of why a man's heart is dark. What about those things? What are the principles to help a man to move through that?" And so they're focusing on the wrong things. And as Jesus said, and it's still today, they're not focusing on the weightier things of the man's character, the fact that the man needs to love, the man needs to honor each other, those type things. And when we look at that principle that is stated, to love your neighbor as you love yourself, then we understand that many people don't love themselves. And so
Yeah,
that is the
true.
problem that we are
The problem.
having, because if you love yourself and honor yourself and respect who you are and see the value of you, then when you look at me, you will also see the value of me. And then you would want to engage with me from a different perspective, one of kindness, one of love, honor, respect. But if you don't love yourself, how in the world are you going to love me and honor me? Because you got to start with yourself first. And so I think that is the problem. We see a lot of people then are the world is in tremendous pain in the sense that they don't know who they are and they don't love themselves. And through your wisdom and your knowledge, you are saying to them, okay, these are the problems, and you're focusing on the weightier things. This is how you address those problems. And so, again, guys, you know, this is what we're about, and this is what Threads of Enlightenment is about: is to bring those sages like Dr. Wong into our space so that we can learn how to, because he's trying to teach us how to love ourselves, how to honor ourselves, so that when we do that, we're able to honor and love each other. And he's making himself available to anyone, all of you that are around the world. Listen, I see the data as to where my audience is. We have people in Russia, we have people in Ukraine, we have people in all those areas that are full of pain, parts of Africa, India, all these places. And so all of you that are listening, Dr. Wong has made himself available to you through his books and other services as well. And we're going to provide all of that data so you guys can get to touch him. So here, Doc, you are today in your life, you're in your 70s, you are still a writer. You feel as the Great Spirit is still causing you to extract wisdom from the realm of the Spirit and put it into a format by which can understand and read and gather. What is it that you are feeling within your spirit, your core being today, where you feel that the Spirit is leading you to do additional work, if you will, to expand yourself and to engage us that are on the outside? What is it you feel that you are being pulled towards?
Sorry, I missed that. Could you just repeat that a little bit? Sorry.
Yeah. What is it you feel in your heart today that you is a great need that you can sense from deep within you, that you feel that needs to be addressed, or you feel that you are heading in that direction, if you will, to try and help us more to understand ourselves? What is it you think that what is it you're feeling within you today as one that is listening and in tune with the Spirit, as you state?
I find that actually a lot of the problems in the world today is people, they are really they are living at the physical level. And I mean, that is understandable. I mean, because we have a physical body, and that if we want to maintain this body, we have to earn a living. And then of course at the moment there is the cost of living crisis. And so people, it is understandable, they are feeling a lot of pressure to just survive, actually, physically. And so there is no time if you want to talk about spirituality. And so I find that is at the moment that is the constraint, and or even historically. And people just want to keep their body going, and then they have to basically spend all their time and resources just to do that. And so that is the challenge. So is how do they find some time to explore the non-physical part of life? Because like I mentioned earlier, if we just have the belief, actually, if we have the belief that we are souls, we are not the body, then I think that will relieve a lot of pressure already. Because the belief goes, the theory goes, is that while the body only has a finite number of years in living, but the soul can live forever. And the soul, and then the other part I find is very useful is if we believe the soul doesn't need anything to survive. The soul will naturally live for years and years and years, and then that is how we can I think we can depart from the rat race. I can share with you for my personal experience. When I told you when I lost my job, I was like everybody else. I was just panicking. I was just thinking, now how am I going to live? I told you, I mean, you sell one book, you make $10. So how many how many $10 you can make? I was really panicking. And then I look at my saving. I work out I can last. I share with you. I work out I can last for 10 years. Then I asked myself, what happens after that 10 years?
Yeah.
That was really, it's a real issue. It's a real practical issue. And but if you work, I find if you work with the spirit, and that's what happened to me. I work with the spirit, and I wrote books, and then I got some odd jobs, freelance jobs, and then I've been more than 10 years after I left my job already. I never have a full-time job, but financially I'm okay. That is how the spirit works, I think. So a lot of the time we think we need a lot of money, and then we feel. I think the other part is people feel insecure. But actually, no matter how much money you have, you can never feel secure. Money will never secure because money can come and go. You can have millions, it can go, and then it happens. And then so I'm very fortunate that the spirit has been helping me all. And you were saying, so for me is a living example. It's a real life. It's is from not an easy situation. And then I surrendered to the Great Spirit, and then I have like trust in Him. I really believe in Him, and then He pulled me through. He helped me, and then so sometimes for a lot of people, I think they are. I mean, it is scary. I agree with that. It is if you want to like just talk about a simple job situation. I mean, it is scary. You leave your job and then you don't have another job. Where's your money coming from? I mean, it is scary. But if you have the spiritual side, then you have one more. You have something to lean on. You have something to lean on.
Yeah, you have that card up your sleeve.
Yeah, and then you have faith, and then and then I don't know. At least for my case, things turn out better, a lot. Turn out very good. I'm in my 70s, but I would say I'm enjoying having the best time of my life actually, because I have the freedom. I can just do what I want, but not just what I want. I do what I really want to do, and I find it is so meaningful. And then when you do the meaningful work and then fulfilling, your life is at a different level. It's not just the normal it's not just like you go beyond that. You go beyond that, and then so that's where I am. So it's it's
That's
a
awesome.
really blessed life. Yeah.
That's awesome. Again, Doc, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. Guys, if you were listening to us and some of the things that Doc had said in a few minutes ago that are very, very important within your walk, if you will, the journey, as we say, you have to learn how to surrender to God. There comes a point where that's where your victory is, because when you surrender, it's no longer your ability, you're trusting on His ability. And so that's the dance that we have to come and walk in with. And you guys have heard me say it a million times. Jesus Christ, I studied the Bible. He also had to come to a place of surrender in the Garden of Gethsemane. All of us have to come to a place of surrender. And when we got there, there's a degree of faith, belief, trusting in God's ability versus yours. Because we know we have a limited ability, but He does not. And He has wisdom, He has insights, information, and data that we don't have, that He will bring into your space and cause situations to happen so that you will get your desired outcome. You just have to learn how to trust Him in there, as Doc is saying. And so we want to thank Doc for coming and truly honor him, because he has laid out so much for us. And we're going to provide all of his links and his everything for for you to get access to him. His books, he has several. I think it's over 30 that I read that you have. So there's a lot of data out there, guys. Get it. Offer it as presents, offer it as gifts to others, and so forth, so that we all can grow and become, more victorious in our life and attain the lifestyle that we're looking for. Doc is in his 70s and his 50s. He wasn't sure if he was going to make it there 20 plus years. And he's standing and he says this is better than when he was in his 50s. So I want to challenge you guys to get out there, get Doc's information, and do like he did. Surrender, and it'll happen. Doc, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
Well, thank you, Ken. It's great talking to you.
It's definitely.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.